Okay, colleagues, I'll get started. Good afternoon, everybody. You're all very welcome. This is open day for the discipline of Applied Social Science Postgraduate Taught Programmes. And I'm delighted to welcome you all on behalf of my colleagues and to introduce my colleagues, Dr. Rosemary Cross and my colleague, Dr. Danielle Kennan, who you will hear from shortly. And I'm here to open the session on behalf of my two colleagues and I, and our UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre and School of Political Science and Sociology. My name is Caroline McGregor, and I am the Head of Discipline for Applied Social Science and also the Director for Social Work. So I'm just going to talk a little bit just about the programmes that we have on offer. Sorry, excuse me. So we have three main master's programs that we're offering you today, and our postgraduate programs provide education and training to a diverse range of social services and social policy fields. And we cover, within our three masters, we cover practice with children, young people, parents and adults in need of support and protection. We are sort of very much focused on education and training that informs practice within the statutory sector, within the voluntary and third sector, as we call it, the community sector and the private not-for-profit. So we've three masters on offer here this afternoon, colleagues. We have a master's in social work, also called the MSW. This provides generic accredited training and education really across the life course. It prepares social workers for working in any field of practice where social workers are employed. And we very much emphasise the role of social work in relation to socio-legal practice, social support, social protection work. You will be hearing then from Rosemary in relation to the Masters in Family Support. And this Masters provides advanced education and training in family support across the life course with children, young people, parents and families. And then you'll hear from my colleague Danielle. Our third Masters is in Child, Youth and Community, and this provides particular education, advanced education and training in child, youth and community development, with a particular emphasis on programme planning and evaluation, a focus on skills development and on practice both nationally and internationally. But just before I start with an introduction on social work, followed by Rosemary and then Danielle, we'd just like to highlight that we hope that you show an interest across the programmes in terms of there are common features that we see in our offerings under our recently established discipline of Applied Social Science. All of our programmes are affiliated with our School of Political Science and Sociology and our research centre, the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre. Many of the staff work across the programmes, and we have a lot of shared themes that we learn from each other, and we research together and work together, and these are here at the slides in terms of some of our common interests. And I suppose one of the features that we're very, very proud of, and is very central to the work that we do, is that we all have a huge commitment and really obligation in what we're offering of integrating theory with policy and practice. So we've got a strong emphasis on lots of different interesting theoretical perspectives, but we absolutely emphasize how do we translate those in relation to informing policy and practice, and also how can policy and practice shape and inform theoretical development. So it's very much a dynamic relationship that runs across our three masters programs. And we also all prepare our students both with the knowledge but also skills for practice in your relevant area. That might be in the candidate's own work context, for like the Masters in Family Support, or through placements in the Masters in Social Work, or through your professional experience module, which is the Masters in Children, Youth and Community. And we all also offer research training. A key feature of doing the Masters, whichever one you might decide to do, is you do a dissertation, you have an opportunity for doing research and developing those research training and empirical skills. Masters in Child, Youth and Community has a particular emphasis in relation to programme evaluation. So I'm delighted to...
Caroline, I'm going to interrupt you for one moment. Sorry, I thought it was perhaps just me, but you've just gone very quiet. If there's something that we can do with your microphone.
Is that any better?
I'm afraid not. If certainly it works for me if I turn up my volume very loud, if that helps for other people, if we can't resolve it, but no, that was the same.
So I'm afraid I'm working with limited equipment because I'm in the university at the moment. So hopefully people can hear me well enough, and we maybe try and do something with the volume to follow. Is that any better, Danielle?
It's okay, but I just encourage people to turn up their mic or their volume quite loud for this presentation, and we can go back to normal after that. Yeah, thanks, Carla.
Apologies, colleagues. Despite all of the preparation around technology, there's always something, but I'm afraid at the moment I'm limited in relation to the technology that's here beside me.
Absolutely.
So just in relation to the Masters in Social Work, this Masters in Social Work is delivered over 2 academic years. It's full time. There are 2 academic semesters and 2 practice placement semesters, and it runs from September to May each year. We use continuous assessment, portfolios, and online assessment. We also, as I mentioned, have a research dissertation in year 2. One of the really important things about the Masters is this is a professional social work qualification, and that allows people to be able to register with CORU, which is the Health and Social Care Regulation Authority. And when registered with CORU, you can then call yourself a social worker and practice. Please note the deadline is quite early. It's in January the 31st, 2022. And all of the criteria that I'm going to discuss must be met by the point of application. So just some special features of the Masters that we're very proud of in NUI Galway. We usually have a dedicated teaching space, a teaching room. Now that obviously hasn't been available during COVID-19. We've had some exceptional circumstances, which we hope we will be overcome, certainly by next September. We use a range of different innovative methods, and we work from the perspective of human rights and social justice. I suppose 2 other unique features of the Social Work Masters in Galway is the link to the other MA programs that we're presenting today, and that's a real strength to be able to learn from each other and to have a critical mass in a community for social work and students to engage with their colleagues. And then being part of such an internationally renowned UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre means that staff and students who come here have direct access to a range of innovative research that is happening live. You get to hear what's going on at the moment in time while you're studying, and also to learn from research that has been completed, and for you to inform that research by the work that you do with us also here in the centre. So just very briefly, in terms of the core requirements, you need to think about 4 elements for social work. For the degree, it's a minimum 2-2 honours, and it needs to have a significant content of relevant social science. So that might be sociology, politics, social policy. It might be psychology. It can be sort of maybe human rights law and so on. You check our website for more detail. You must have 6 months equivalent experience, either voluntary or paid relevant experience, and that comes up to 960 hours. If you're doing social care or other courses that have placements, you can use up to 240 hours maximum to make up those hours. They're the 2 most important, they're the 2 most significant pieces. You need your references, an academic and a practice reference. Those references do count at shortlisting, so it's worth getting them from somebody who can speak to your work best. And you also need to write a statement of 300 words that kind of talk about your interest in doing social work. And obviously, we're looking at you showing your ability to write and demonstrate your interest. There's an interview process for social work, so you apply at the end of January. And then if shortlisted, that means if you've met each of those criteria, then there's an invite for interview, which is usually the end of February, early March. To prepare for that, we encourage you to read up on current social work context and to talk to a social worker if possible. And I suppose really try and understand what is the distinctive feature of social work as opposed to other very important forms of social care, social support, social regulation. Not just about helping people. It has a legal context. It would be good to be able to kind of explain social work in terms of its care, control, support, protection. It works across sectors, and you find social work in statutory, voluntary, private. So it is worthwhile, if you apply and you get an interview, to do a little bit of preparation on understanding social work distinctively and coming with the knowledge of that. If you're offered a place, we have 25 places and we have a waiting list, and students can be offered from the waiting list up to the week before the project, before the programme starts. Garda clearance is required. Places cannot be deferred. If you're offered and you don't take the place, you have to reapply. You can find out more detail about our programme on the links provided. Some of you might have heard NUI Galway was affected by a cyberware suspected attack about nearly 2 months ago now. So if you're not able to access the links, please check again. The system is being fixed and is being repaired. But if you haven't been able to access information, that's the reason why. So please check back. Be prepared for full-time study and for both full-time study and placement. These are a set of links for you to follow for a little bit more information on social work and also on the school. I am the contact for academic inquiries. There's my email, and there's also an administrative email. Our admin support is called Deirdre, but you contact her at the same email address that's on the website. It's k.donoghue@nuigalway.ie. So people can contact me directly for any more information. And I'm going to pause now there, colleagues, just for a few minutes in case people have any questions specific for social work before I hand over to my colleague, Rosemary. We don't have any comments in the chat so far, but if people have comments, you can put those in there, or you can put up your hand and we'll take those. I can't see any hands up. Rosemary, Danielle, do you see any? We've one question in the chat.
No hands up, just a question in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Rosemary and Danielle. So, Emer, what type of volunteering would it have to be? So, in fact, we accept practice across a whole range of areas. The key thing is that it's supervised practice and that it's direct social support, social service work. So, the types of work might be working with youth work, working with young people, summer camps. It may be working in a nursing home, doing social and healthcare support. It could be working for organisations like Simon, homeless service support, working for the Samaritans, Childline. So a whole range are acceptable. It's supervised and it's direct social support, that you're working directly with an individual, a group, or a community. Maybe one more question, and then if there's time at the end, we can come back. You're welcome, Emer. Amy, does volunteering of 6 months constitute the 960 hours? So just to be clear, it could be volunteering or it can be paid work. It can be any form of work, and it can be all in one block or it can be built up over time. And so approximately 960 hours is equal to 6 months. That's how we work it out. And there's a form in the application form for you to fill out to demonstrate how you meet that you have completed those hours or more. So I'll say thanks very much, and sorry again about the sound. I hope that was clear enough for everybody. We can have more questions at the end of this time, and now I'm going to hand over and bring up the slides for Dr. Rosemary Cross, who is going to introduce the Masters in Family Support. Over to you, Rosemary.
Thank you, Caroline. So good afternoon, everyone. Caroline said you're very welcome. My name is Dr. Rosemary Cross, and I am the acting coordinator for the Masters in Family Support that we run in the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre. Normally, the Masters in Family Support is directed by Dr. Carmel Giovanni. However, Carmel is on sabbatical this year and will return in September next. So just to bring it through very briefly what the Masters in Family Support is about. So it has an emphasis on applying a family support orientation across a very wide range of practice and policy areas and arenas. The aim really is to further the education and upskill professionals who have a common interest in family support. It was established in 2003, and we're very proud to say it's one of its kind in Europe. And it is sponsored by TUSLA, which is Ireland's Child and Family Agency. So as you can see from that slide there, the emphasis is on those who work in the area of family support or in the area that has a family support orientation. And this Masters really is focusing on developing and upskilling those who already work in this area. It's a part-time Masters program, and it's 2 days on campus every 2 weeks. And of course, if you're taking part in the Masters, you will need to attend college 2 days every 2 weeks, every second week. Our approach to learning is both in class and virtual. So we have a blended approach. And of course, as Caroline said, we draw on the experience of those across the board in the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre and in the School of Political Science and Sociology. The programme is based on continuous assessment, with your dissertation, as always, in your second year. And continuous assessment, which many of you will be glad to hear, it is not exam based. Because this is a family support Masters that aims to help practitioners, the idea is that you would be in some form of employment in order to enter this Masters, that you would be working either part-time, full-time, that you would have a voluntary role in the area of social support and social service work, whatever area that might be. And the idea is that you will put your learning into practice through the course of your work. So we also have the Masters in Family Support, which is a 2-year program, and then the diploma in family support, which is a 1-year program. You should have a minimum level of experience in working in the area of social services, at least roughly around 12 months experience. But we kind of review each application on an individual basis. The idea behind the program is that you already have knowledge of practice, but really it's to strengthen your knowledge base around family support. So kind of to give you the theory behind it, the policy, as well as that practice element. And to apply this then in practice, and to give you those key learnings that you can develop in practice. To understand those core theoretical concepts or theoretical ideas that apply to family support, and enhance the quality of services really delivered by state, voluntary and community agencies. You will also learn to develop your project management and evaluation skills, and develop your research and report writing skills. Next slide, Caroline, thank you. So the modules are aimed at each of these skills and development of skills, if you like. So for year 1, we look at family support theory. Then we look at that theory and we take that and we see how can this be applied in practice. We also look at sociological and policy insights into children and families. We look at the area of child protection, of community development, and of families with additional needs and vulnerable populations. So there are modules for the first year. For the second year, we continue with those core modules of family support theory, practice, as well as that insight into different kinds of children and families, vulnerable families, and families with particular challenges. We also look at health promotion and family support. We look at family law, and we look then obviously at social science research. And you will have to complete your dissertation for this master's in year 2 of the program. And so just to kind of give you a flavor of what our students say. So our students are practitioners. They are with us part-time, as I said, for 2 days every second week on campus. And obviously they complete their continuous assessment tasks then. So our students say that the balance of the theoretical and practical elements that the course offers, that they needed to upskill in terms of the research and the theoretical knowledge. So that's what we found, that an awful lot of our students might have the practice knowledge, but it's about gaining that all-round kind of perspective in terms of the theoretical knowledge as well. And this obviously is to better support the families that they work with. And they found the course to be very informative, of a high standard, reflective and analytical skills have much improved for this course participant, and being able to implement much of that learning into practice, which is really the fundamental idea of the course, that you can use this to improve your practice going forward. Others talk about the wide range of modules and skills and its relevance to their area of work in family support. So this is not an abstract kind of course, not by any means. It's very practical, and it can be used in practice, rewarding and beneficial, and being able to apply that theory in practice, with an opportunity to expand knowledge in the current research and literature in the area that you're studying specifically. And just to say to you, that's Carmel, who is generally the course director of the Masters in Family Support. Her contact details are there. I'll also put my contact details in the chat function, as well as our administrative support. So any inquiries for this course can come to us in the first instance. And we will, of course, be very, very happy to speak to you and to give you more information. And just to say that, similar to the Masters in Social Work, it is interview based in terms of acceptance into the course, and you must have some form of current practice to allow you to apply your learning into that practice. So thank you, everybody. For anyone who requires further information, I'll put those contact details into the chat function. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rosemary. Just maybe to check with colleagues if you have any questions for Rosemary before we move on. Just have about 5 minutes if people wish to use that time. Don't see any hands or comments at the moment, no. Rosemary. So Danielle, if it's okay with yourself, we'll keep going, and then at the end we can have time for going back for questions if any arise.
Sure, Caroline. Yep. The transitions on Zoom can be not so easy at times, but thanks, Caroline, for all your work with that.
It's not very smooth, but
no problem. It's challenging for me on Zoom sometimes too. So hello, everyone. Delighted to be here to introduce you to the MA in Child, Youth and Community. So my name is Dr. Danielle Kennan, and I, along with colleagues in the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre, particularly Cormac Forkin, who's the Associate Programme Director, but as well as colleagues in the wider discipline and School of Political Science and Sociology, are really delighted to and excited by bringing on stream this new MA programme, which I'm going to introduce to you today. So we did have the first intake last September, and we're looking forward to very much looking forward to our future intakes. So next slide, please, Caroline. So as I said, it's an MA in Child, Youth and Community, but it has that particular focus on programme planning and evaluation. And I suppose the first thing I want to say to you, is why this focus on programme planning and evaluation. And the rationale or context for that really is that, professionals involved in the delivery of services to children, young people, communities, they are, as many of you will be aware, are increasingly required to provide scientific, robust evidence measuring the social impact of their interventions. So we very much work in an environment now in this sector, which is, results-based accountability. So being very much accountable for the social impact of the programs that we deliver, and that we are demonstrating evidence that they're achieving what they're intended to achieve. And as and demonstrating evidence is really key in terms of securing funding and securing renewal of funding. Next slide, Caroline. So then, so in the next, I'm just going to look at program planning. There are, of course, many definitions or understandings of what program planning is. Just using this UNDP one for a moment, it's the process of setting goals, developing strategies, outlining the implementation arrangements, and allocating resources to achieve these goals. And really, why is this so important? Well, in many ways, it's self-evident. But if we are always busy, we don't step back and engage in rigorous, well-informed planning, then obviously we do run the risk as professionals of going nowhere, or certainly not achieving the intended outcomes that we set out to achieve. And next slide, please. So then in terms of a program evaluation, again, just drawing on one definition here so that we're all clear what we mean by evaluation. And it involves generating evidence about activities, policies, programs and projects, and the processes involved in making judgments about their value. And again, judgments as to whether they're achieving their intended outcomes or not. Next slide. So, there's obviously this program is designed to prepare you for a career working in the child, youth and community sector in general, but there also we have a set of, core objectives underpinning this program, which are very much unique to this particular program in NUI Galway. So these are, they equip the students with that theoretical knowledge and the practical skills in program planning, monitoring and evaluation, as I've just talked about. It also sets out to really develop students' capacity to design and deliver human rights-based and culturally sensitive programs and services. It's about supporting students to critically explore new lines of research and use of research evidence and practice. And also we set out really to enable students to develop their capacity as leaders in their field, to build their communication and innovative thinking skills. And we also, set out to really give students good professional experience and networking opportunities. And how we do this is through the range of modules that we deliver in this program. So, we have modules on human rights and social justice, program planning, evaluation. We also have a work placement module and a field trip module. This year, for example, we're going to be going to Brussels to really give students those networking opportunities at that local, but also an international level. So in terms of then our approach to learning, it's a 1-year full-time MA, or you also have the choice of doing a 2-year part-time MA. And then we also offer a 1-year full-time postgraduate diploma. So there's a range of options there available to you that you should be aware of. It's also a blended learning program. And of course, there's many different, approaches to blended or flexible learning. In the case of this MA, it's about modules being on campus as well as being delivered online. So there's a lot of online delivery, but then we bring students on campus for block teaching sessions, across 3 to 4 weeks per semester. So it's really to facilitate students that maybe live outside of NUI Galway, as well as those that are closer to home. Next slide. So an overview in terms of what's involved, it's 90 credits worth of modules. So you do 60 credits of taught modules. The 60 is made up of both taught modules and option modules. And then your final 30 credits then is awarded on the basis of the completion of a final research project. Now that can take a traditional dissertation approach that you'd be familiar with, but we also have some other options on this MA where you can do a community engaged research research project. So where we'll pair you with the community organization that has a particular research need, and you'll work closely with that organization to address that research need. Also, if you're coming to the program maybe from practice, or you're coming with previous research that you've completed, you might like to avail of the opportunity to use this time to do a final research project, to get an academic publication from previous research that you've done, or perhaps a conference presentation, or even design a new program. And that equally is acknowledged, and your final you could be awarded a final research project on the basis of that type of work also. And all assessment, like Rosemary said in the previous program, is by means of continuous assessment. Next one, thanks. So who's the program designed for? So it's very much for professionals already working in the community, voluntary or allied sector, but it's also for those of you that are coming with a specific expertise or understanding in the lives of children, youth and their communities. So you may come from, a strong undergraduate background in that area. And really it's about adding value to existing qualifications and really supporting you to progress to leadership roles within your career. And just next there, Caroline. So I just jotted down here, just pulled together a few examples of career opportunities. If you look at the first one there, Bernardo's a research and evaluation manager. More and more organizations have research and evaluation units within their organizations, and this was a job advertised by Bernardo's. It was one just very recently advertised by Jigsaw, the mental health organization in Galway, again looking for a research and evaluation manager. I mean, they're even, at a very local level, you can see there the North Tipperary Community Development Organization, even at that local level, they just this week advertised for this research, monitoring, evaluation and outreach worker. But then across a range of jobs within this sector, from project workers to school completion program officers and others, you see often now what's weaved into the essential criteria is that professionals or applicants will come with some knowledge of evaluation skills and experience within that area. Okay, next slide, thanks. So I just want to finish up with just some overall, key points around why study with us and why this MA in Child, Youth and Community. And it is based in a flagship research centre, the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre, as like the other programs you've heard about today. And that centre, has that international reputation, endorsed by UNESCO, awarding the director, our former director, Professor Pat Dolan, with the UNESCO chair. But it has that dual expertise in the area of family support, but also in the area of program planning and evaluation, and hence why the introduction of this new MA. Another good reason, again, is that offer of that blended learning approach to really support those students that may not necessarily be from Galway, but we have a range of students from across the country taking in our first intake this year. You're also part of this thriving postgraduate community. You've learned about the two other MAs within the discipline of applied social science today. We share modules in some cases. We're also part of the wider MA programs within the School of Political Science and Sociology. So it's great to be part of that wider postgraduate community. And then also, as I tried to get across to you today, the program very much is aligned to the needs of the sector and their contemporary needs. And next slide. So I just two quotes from current students, and we were in class recently, we were talking about the value of the program, and I asked them to put it down on paper for me, just so I could share it with you today. And so these are two testimonials from current students that I'll let you read there yourselves. But the first one is very much, again, similar to what Rosemary was talking about, really learning how to apply that theory into their practice, and being better prepared and having the knowledge and the language as they go forward to work in the field or in the sector. And the second one, I think, from Rutabali, an international student that we have on the program. We have a number of international students on the program this year. He talks about the importance of that multidisciplinary approach that we take, and that combined with the focus on program planning and evaluation he's found extremely beneficial, and feels like it's opened up lots of opportunities for him in terms of his future career. Okay, and last slide. Thanks, Caroline. So there's my contact details. Again, very happy to take questions now in the chat box, or raise your hand and turn on your microphone. But also you can follow up with me at any point. Or if you're later watching this in the recording, please do email if you have any particular questions that I haven't covered today. So thanks. I don't see any questions in the chat box at the moment, but if anyone does have any, work away. But also I think at this stage, Caroline, we can open it up as well. If anyone wants to come back in with a question for Caroline about social work, or Rosemary about the MA family support, then please do ask any questions at this stage.
So Rebecca is asking for clarification on the word count. Yes, sorry. For clarification there, yes, the general postgraduate admissions looks for a statement of 600 words, and social work has asked for 300, but we will accept between 300 and 600 because that's what's on the admissions information. It was meant to be updated, Rebecca, this year, but because of the cyberware issue, we haven't had an opportunity to update our admissions page pre 1st of November. So we will be updating everything as soon as we're able to access it for the NUI Galway website.
And maybe just on that, you just reminded me, Caroline, just again to make people aware that while applications can be made, we can't yet see them on our end. So please do go ahead and make your applications. We look forward to viewing them as soon as we have our access back. And but don't let that put you off in terms of us not following up with immediate contact. We're just waiting to get full access, and we look forward to viewing them and making offers and so on as required once we have that full access.
And as you may be aware, all applications are through the Postgraduate Application Centre. Also, Rosemary, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but because social work and family support has interviews, we deal with the application sort of at the deadline, and then people are contacted. So we don't deal with applications and offers as you apply. You have to wait for the deadline date, and then we shortlist. Emer, what evidence do you need to prove for volunteering? So you need to complete a form to give the details of where your supervised practice was, and to indicate who the supervisor is. You don't actually have to provide reference or evidence, but we can ask for it if we think we need it. So you should be able to provide it, but you just fill in the details on the form. Danielle, over to you from Ella.
Hi Ella, how many approximate hours a week, days will it be? So it is a full, well, it depends if you're doing the full-time or the part-time, but if you're doing the full-time, then obviously it is very intensive program. Any master's program is very intensive. So while class time is generally restricted to midweek, so semester one, say for example this year, classes spread across Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. It really, in terms of the level of assignment and engagement, it's very much a full-time program. But yeah, classes are generally midweek, and as I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this semester, and in second semester it's a Tuesday and a Wednesday. So that's your in-class time. Yeah, if that answers your question, Ella. Okay, I don't see anyone else there with a hand up or any final questions, but you have all our contact details anyway.
So we'll finish up shortly. So just if anybody has any final questions or comments, we'll just give you another minute or two to formulate those. And as Danielle and Rosemary have said, our contact details are on the slides, and we're very happy for you to contact us directly for more information.
And just to reiterate, Carmel, for the Masters in Family Support, I've put both my own email address in the chat function, as well as Gillian Brown, who is our administrative assistant. So either of those email addresses will be fine to use.
So colleagues, I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to maybe close the session now, and just to thank all of you for taking the time. We're sorry we're not able to see you in person at the stands as we normally would on open day, and if and when that opportunity arises during the year, perhaps we'll have a chance for a more detailed engagement. But thank you for being here today. I hope you found the sessions informative. Thanks very much from Danielle, Rosemary and I, and just on behalf of the school and the research centre and our discipline, just to say thanks very much, and we hope that some of you will consider joining us, and we look forward to hearing from some of you following forward. So thanks very much, everybody, and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Caroline, and thank you all.